Hey guys, so in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about managing your expectations if you are someone who is like me and going through physical rehab or the journey of trying to do physical therapy, speech therapy, and or occupational therapy. So for those of you who are unaware, I recently had a lot of issues after having a minimum of two seizures that lasted over 8 minutes. And I was in the hospital for almost a month following that. I do still have paralysis and weakness on my right side left over from that situation. And so I'm currently going through occupational therapy to try to rehab. I spent like 20 something days in an inpatient physical rehab unit doing both occupational and physical therapy. I did about a week of speech therapy before they figured that I was pretty much back to baseline. I just have a couple of like short term memory issues that are a little bit long lasting, but hopefully that will improve over time. So I think that one thing that is important to know is like when you have an injury or a medical condition that causes this type of an issue and you need to go through physical therapy, occupational therapy, any of the above, rehab, um, it's important to know that you don't know exactly how the end will look for you. And by the end, I don't mean like death. By the end, I mean like the end result. You don't know exactly what the end result is going to be after all of the therapies that you go through. Hopefully, you're able to get back to baseline or as close to baseline as you possibly can, back to a level of independence where you can take care of yourself, you can live independently, you can do all of the things. For me, it is a big question mark because we aren't exactly sure how much function, if any, I will get back. The only function that I have gotten back as of this point, which this issue happened about a month and a half ago, it'll be 2 months next Friday. And today is Wednesday. So, um, almost 2 months ago is when this issue started for me. And the only function that I've gotten back is um, I am able to wiggle all of the toes on my right foot and I am able to move my right thumb. So I still have a long way to go. I am in a wheelchair currently, and like I said, I do still have a long way to go. But I think it's important to realize that any progress is good. Any progress should be celebrated, or no matter how small or how insignificant you think it is, it should definitely be celebrated because I like to say, like, at the beginning of this whole process, I thought that I was going to die, honestly. I did not know exactly what was going to happen. I didn't know what the outcome would be overall. I had multiple seizures in the hospital after. I had a lot of issues, and um, the state of mind that I was in when I was in the inpatient rehab unit was not a positive one. I was very angry. I was very frustrated. I was very depressed. And I've kind of continued that throughout, just because of everything that's going on and the fact that I'm not myself and I don't feel anywhere close to myself. Um, it's been a long road. And so I think it's important to celebrate every little success, every little victory, whether it's something as small as you're able to push yourself around in your wheelchair, or you're able to move from having to use a wheelchair to using a walker, or whether you have to use a cane, whatever the case may be, celebrate those small victories because, like I said, every little amount of progress matters. Um, like I said, I still don't know if I'm going to ever be independent again. I'm hoping that I will be able to get to that point, but if I don't, then I will just continue to be as thankful for this life as I am now. I will continue to try everything that I possibly can. Insurance has approved me for 20 visits of occupational therapy. I have not started physical therapy on an outpatient basis yet because as of right now, I'm doing occupational therapy on an outpatient basis. The inpatient rehab facility that I was at did not feel like I needed speech therapy on an outpatient basis because, like I said, I only did speech therapy on an inpatient basis for about a week before they discontinued that because they felt like I had made enough progress back towards baseline. And like I said, the only issues remaining are a little bit of short term memory issues. Um, but, I just, I hope that people, if you're going through this type of an issue or you're on this type of journey like I am, I hope that you're not too hard on yourself also, because I feel like a lot of this is emotional as well. Because if you are not in the right frame of mind to rehab, it's not going to go well for you. If you are negative and you're constantly like putting yourself down or looking down on yourself because you can't do what you used to do before, like, yes, I do think it's important to express those feelings and to feel those feelings and to sit in that and understand what it is that you're feeling and accept the way that you feel. But I don't think that it's necessary for you to remain there for the rest of your life. If you were to end up in a wheelchair and never be able to get out of that wheelchair, like I've told myself this multiple times, if I'm never able to get out of this wheelchair again, I just want to have the most independent life that I possibly can, even if I'm still in a wheelchair, if that makes sense. And sorry, I kind of hiccuped. At the same time, I just took a drink of water, so I apologize. So yeah, I hope that you're not too hard on yourself. I hope that you accept yourself for who you are. I hope that you continue to look up and continue to try to encourage yourself. Try not to get discouraged if you have a hard time with getting back to any sort of functional level. Um I feel like I said, this emotional roller coaster of trying to get better, trying to get back to who you used to be, you might not ever get there, and you have to figure out a way to accept that. You have to figure out a way to love yourself for who you are now, and you just have to make sure that you're not putting so much pressure on yourself that you're stressing yourself out even more and causing even more of a negative impact on your recovery process, because like I said, emotions definitely play a huge part in recovery. And the amount of stress that you're under plays a huge role in the amount of recovery that you're able to achieve. And I just think it's so important to realize the fact that, every person's recovery process is going to look different. Someone could have the same exact thing happen and they might be able to regain all of their function, and you might not be able to regain all of your function. You might get a little bit back and that's it. It's going to depend on the effort that you put into the rehab process, the way that your body responds, the level of injury that you had. So please just try to remain as positive as you can. Try to keep as positive of an outlook as you can. It is definitely a hard process, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because this is a very hard thing physically, emotionally, and it's a lot. So that is all that I have for today's video. If you guys have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments section down below. If there are any other topics you would like to hear me discuss on my channel in the future, be sure to let me know that as well, and I can get something filmed for you. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys in my next video.